everything hinges on identity. It is the compass of our faith that aligns with the Holy Spirit to fulfill the Father's will. Wrapped up in identity is who we are, the purpose of our being, and every God-breathed promise that manifests as our success. Hello, I'm Laquita Monley, and I'm the author of Redefining Success, 8 Tools That I Use to Develop a Growth Mindset. In this amazing book, not only will I share with you 8 tools that I use for a growth mindset, but I'll also share the applicable principles based on God's word that you can easily implement in your life journey. So no matter where you are and no matter where you see yourself in the future, this book will be a tool that you need for your toolbox. Don't wait, get it today, and it can be found on Amazon by simply searching Redefining Success, 8 Tools That I Use for a Growth Mindset. Take care. Welcome to another amazing episode of Laquita's Toolbox Live. I am your host, Laquita Monley, and I am excited about today's show. We have such an amazing guest lined up for you guys today. So listen, you guys, as everyone is coming on in the room, those of you that are first-time guests of Laquita's Toolbox, we'd like to welcome you and ask that you please hit the notification bells so that you can be made aware when we go live every Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, because you don't want to miss the tools that are being released on Laquita's Toolbox. For those of you that are returning, we appreciate you so much for your support. Please come on in the room, hit those like, share, and subscribe buttons so that we can get this broadcast out to as many people as possible. And listen, guys, I know that you've been watching the post and saying, Dr. Geneva Williams, who is she and why do we need to understand about an action plan? We have to have action plans in place. And Dr. Geneva Williams is going to bless us with some tools on today that will not only give us a better understanding of what an action plan is, but more importantly, how we need to create those action plans. Dr. Geneva has an amazing vision of inspiring 1 million women to create a high-value personal action plan to empower themselves for a better world and a vibrant life. So listen, guys, sit back, get something to write with and something to write on, because Dr. Geneva is in the house today and she is going to bless us. Dr. Geneva, how are you? How are you?
Hey there, Laquita. Hey, I'm doing great. Coming to you from Detroit, where for the first time, I think almost ever, it's in the 60s in the middle of November.
Wow. So are you guys enjoying that weather? Or are you concerned about how bad the winter might be?
Now, everybody's kind of, listen, we'll breathe it in and be glad and, just go in the present. And just soak it all in and just be blessed for what we have today.
Awesome. Thank you. We see we've got a few visitors coming on in the room. Good morning, Miss Adina Collins, all the way from Dallas, Texas. Thank you so much for coming in the room on today. Listen, Dr. Geneva, I know that there are many people in these social media streets, especially on TikTok. You're going to have to tell me your TikTok secrets, because listen, you real viral over there on TikTok.
I'm having a good time.
I can tell.
I'm really enjoying it. I'm just really enjoying it. People say to me, now, what are you doing with your old self up there? They don't use the word self. They use another word starting with an A. What you doing with your old self up there? And, I'm having a good time dropping wisdom, bringing value, it's really a fun platform.
And you are doing it. So I'm gonna have to check out your TikTok more often. Please. And get some tips, tools, and strategies for myself, because my TikTok need a lot of prayer. But look, for the minute few people that might not know who you are, please share with us more about who you are, what you do. And listen, guys, y'all don't want to miss this part because she has a powerful story to tell.
Well, let me just once again say thank you for joining, allowing me to join with you today. It's just, I follow you. It's just really a pleasure. And so, and to everyone out there, just hello, hello, hello. I'm a late life entrepreneur. I started my business in my 60s, my late 60s, and it was something that I had always dreamed about. I had wanted this platform where I could share my experience and my wisdom with others. I had been for years in the nonprofit world, raising millions of dollars, working in communities, helping to transform neighborhoods, and I love the work. Yet I wanted to have a platform where I could deliver the kind of messaging that I wanted to talk about, like confidence and how you transform your mindset into being confident and living a vibrant life and all those kinds of things that I talk about today. Well, Laquita, about 3 months after I hung out my shingle, to be this entrepreneur that I had always dreamed about, my husband got his first diagnosis of cancer.
Mm.
And then my mom and dad got sick. And that began several years of caring for them and really looking and doing things that I hadn't anticipated at all. And they all passed. I had a 40-year marriage with my husband, so
Mm.
it was phenomenal. And they all passed about the same time. So here I found myself without the three people who in the whole world at my older age that I had always come to depend on. And, they were gone. And I
Mm.
was really, deep grief, didn't know where I was going, really lost myself completely. And one evening in my evening ritual of crying, I had their obituaries out and I look at them and I notice that they all had the same thing, that horizontal stroke, that dash in between the time that they were born and when they passed. And I realized that in that horizontal stroke, that dash was what I loved about them, was the meaning, was purpose, was their life. And that I knew in that instance that I had to find a way to recreate, reinvent myself, find my purpose, and step back out and, do things and contribute and find meaning. And so, it was a struggle. It was a big struggle. Today, I'm a successful businesswoman and I have lots of followers and women, particular female entrepreneurs that I help, and it's fabulous. And I have grandchildren, and I'm just living this vibrant life. But what helped get me out of that depression and grief and darkness was I put together an action plan, my
Mm.
personal plan to take the next moves that I knew I had to take. I couldn't figure out how to do it, but I did when I put my plan together. So that's my story, and I find lots of value in having this personal growth strategy, and that's why I'm so committed to helping women in particular find their plans, know what they want to do, know their next steps, and more importantly, have the action strategies and tactics and steps to make those dreams and plans come alive and stay committed to them.
See, that's a powerful part. Stay committed to them.
Yeah, right.
That's a big component. I mean,
Yes.
every time, the first time I heard that aspect of your story, I had to sit down and think on that for a moment. You had already made a decision that was a major transformational point in your life when you stepped out of corporate America and
Mm-hmm.
the nonprofit sector and
Mm-hmm.
being very successful and well known at it, to say, hey, at this season in my life, I want to become an entrepreneur so that I can do the thing that I feel like God is calling me to do and that I'm
Yeah.
passionate about. And then to suffer and I will say this, grow through that experience of losing your parents and your husband. You know, me and my husband have been married for 25 plus years. And
Bless
sometimes
him.
that brother get on my nerves. But I love him. And I can't
Yeah.
imagine doing life without him. And
Mm-hmm.
after 40 years, I literally have no words.
Yes.
And then to lose your parents, all in that, in a very short spirit of span of time. I love the way that you found your purpose in the dash. When I read
Mm-hmm.
that part, I was like, now this right here will preach
Mm-hmm.
a whole
Mm-hmm.
lot of messages. And you found that purpose in the dash. And when you found that purpose in the dash, it created this your love and your passion and your commitment to, you got to have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have a plan
Mm-hmm.
to come out of, get into, to do anything you want personally and professionally. And so I hope that the Laquita's Toolbox audience is getting that on today. Listen, people, we're about to jump into some good stuff. Dr. Geneva's already laid down some heavy tools. If you didn't get those tools, don't worry. This is live. You can hit the replay and take your
Right.
time and listen to it again real good
Yes.
and take some really good notes, because in sharing that story, you laid down some heavy, heavy tools. And so I really hope that everyone that's tuning in is getting a lot out of that. And my I was going to ask, why is having an action plan important, but you already said that. Why it's important. But in case somebody missed the revelation, in case they missed the revelation and what you just said, please share with us why having an action plan is so important.
Well, it's interesting, Laquita, because my background, my training, my academic background, and the work that I did for many, many 30 plus years in nonprofit work was all about planning and, doing community planning. When I first worked with United Way, I started as a community planner, a community problem solver. And I started down that path because that's what my master's work was in: community organizing and social planning. So developing plans and action steps that take you from point A to B in community work. Because see, I was doing community work, working in neighborhoods, helping block clubs and organizations make a difference in their uh, neighborhood, in their community, to change, to impact high school dropout rates or youth unemployment, or just homelessness, a whole host of various issues. And the tools we used were always these planning tools. How you create a plan, how you create great goals, how you develop strategies, how you do SWOT analysis: strengths, weakness, opportunities, threats. All of those kinds of strategies and things I did for many, many, many years, working in community and doing that nonprofit work. And so I saw the value there. I mean, when you talk about decreasing dropout rates, or getting better resources for children, or fixing up neighborhoods, it always comes about when you have interested people, people who are stakeholders, people who care about the neighborhoods, and they got a vision and a plan. Okay. And so my work was helping them develop those plans, bring people around the table to jointly dream and figure out ways to make a difference and to transform. So I saw the value in that and lived it. It wasn't until I had my own real personal trauma and that I realized that I could use those strategies, that wisdom in my own personal life. And so I took the tools and the techniques and the strategies and all of those things and the mistakes and many failures from that aspect of my experience in life, working on it for 30, 40 years, into my personal life, and just found that, well, Laquita, they really aren't distinct or different, because in both spheres of my life, trying to make a difference, trying to move from A to B, try to make change, try to transform, try to be better. All of those things fit in both worlds. And so the value, I think, of having personal plan and action plan. One thing is you can jump out of bed excited, knowing what it is you're going to be doing. You don't have to question yourself and say, like I did when I was in the deep, depths of depression. What am I going to do with my life? It wasn't even my life. It was like, what am I going to do today? Because I was dragging myself out of bed. What am I going to do today? What's my purpose? Why am I here? And Laquita, the big question, what's my next step? Yeah. What do I do now? Okay. So with an action plan, with a personal growth plan, with, the steps and the vision and those things where you have it answers all that, what you're going to do next. So, you have better productivity. You certainly have a greater sense of purpose and meaning. And then the big one is confidence. I mean, having an action plan, a strategy for your life, gives you a confidence that you can just walk into the room with, get out of bed with, share with your neighbors, your friends, your spouse, whatever, because you know what you're going to do.
Come on now.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
so you feel confident. And as you take a step here and you're successful, you feel even more confident.
Yes.
And as you take a step and it don't work out, but you step back and you regroup and you figure something else out, you become more confident. Yes. And so it just builds. So having that growth plan, that, strategy, that life strategy, just gives you all of that and more.
And more.
So
that right there.
You can see I'm a fan.
You are a fan. And I can't even, I ran out of fingers to count the number of tools that you just laid out so eloquently. Look, the thing that was coming through my mind as you were talking about is a scripture out of Habakkuk. The scripture tells us that we're to have a vision, write it down, and make it plain.
Yes.
I mean, that's self-explanatory even in itself. Having a vision, and there's something about the psychology of writing things with pencil and paper. I have to write stuff with pencil and paper. I write my prayers, my thoughts. I journal, pen and paper, pencil and paper. I got a million notebooks, but it becomes more powerful, more tangible when we do that.
Yes.
Having a plan for anything. And I love what you said about it gives you something to look forward to. Because when I have that plan, no matter how many speed bumps life might put in front of me that cause me to have to, I won't say stop, but maybe slow down, but I'm gonna still roll over it. I still know that I'm going in the right direction to get to my desired result because I have a plan. I have a plan. And even if something happens, because I have a plan and I meet a real roadblock, because I know what my desired end is going to be because of the plan that I have, I then also can understand how and when I need to tweak that plan.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, you said so much right there. Look, listen, guys, thank you for those of you. I see we've got a few more people that came into the room. Thank you so much for those of you that are joining across our Facebook community, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Twitch. We appreciate you. Continue to come in the room. If you are being blessed by the wisdom that Dr. Geneva is sharing, hit those like, share, and subscribe buttons. And I'll say this, and I'm not even trying to be funny, I'm being real. Even if you don't like it, somebody else you know needs this information. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button, and let's get this message out to as many people as possible. 2023 is around the corner, y'all.
Yes.
And we need to have action plans in place. Dr. Sakisa Hayek, thank you so much for joining this morning, sis. We welcome you in the room. And Dr. Sakisa said that this has been a powerful conversation. Yes, ma'am. I'm in 100% agreement with you, Dr. Sakisa. This is an amazing conversation that we're having. I mean, I want to ask you about, how our personal identity and core values come together. But now I also want to ask you about vision too. Like, I got a lot of questions I want to ask.
Okay.
So let's first talk about, because creating an action plan, there has to be a starting point.
Right.
And based off of just my personal belief, I truly believe that everything in our life hinges on our identity. So my question is, how much does our personal identity, core values, impact our ability to create great action plans?
Yeah, I think there's you almost can't separate vision. You cannot separate vision from values. They really go hand in hand. And you're right. And I hope we have a chance to talk about vision too, because any good plan starts with a vision.
Yes, ma'am.
And I believe. And
I agree.
So your values are really those things that you think are important. And we all have different experiences. We have different circumstances. So our values differ, and that's okay. The point is to figure out what your values are and be true to that. It's funny, Laquita, but probably every 2 years is my pattern. I used to do it more frequently when I was younger, but probably every 2 years I stop and think about my values and ask myself, well, what are your values? And I go through this process of trying to identify like the top 10 things that I think are, so important to me. And then I try to bring it down to the top 3 that, I can't do without these 3 things. And from the 3, try to get that 1. And it's a process that I think is so important, because we think we know what we value. And if somebody asked us, we could probably rap about it, who knows, or we could debate about it. But to really set aside the time to think about all the things that could and should and are important to you, but really try to bring that down and prioritize into the handful of things that really are at your core. And that's what I mean when I talk about core values. You can like a lot of things and a whole lot of things be important to you. I do believe as you get older or as you age, that list becomes less and less, it's easy to kind of focus, on a handful of things. But, this is a process that I think that you do at any age to stop and do that. And so why it's important to determine those values is that, those things that you think are important, that's really how you're going to behave.
Yes. Yes.
It really is. And so, if one of your top values is honesty, when you're faced with situations that perhaps don't smell, taste, or look like being honest, you're going to react a certain way, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
So
ma'am.
the values, the things that you think are important, really drive your behavior and your actions. And when we don't know what truly matters to us, what's at our core, we can easily get frustrated, get angry, get fearful, go through a lot of different emotions because we don't have clarity on what in fact is important to us. So that's one of the things that I really, it's in part of my steps to help build your growth plan, is having this clarity on your values, because how you think, what you think is important, affects your behavior
Now,
and your
see, that
action.
could be a separate show, because understanding your core values is so important. And what you said is, I couldn't agree with them more. I'm not that old, but I'm not 15, and I'm not 25, and I'm not 35. Who I am today as a 45-year-old woman, a wife, mom, and grandmother, my core values are definitely very they're very alive. I'm very aware of them, and they really align up. I found that now that I'm solid in them, it's because I know who I am, I know whose I am, and any plan or agreement that I do, it has to align with my core values in order for me to be successful in it. If it doesn't align with my core values, even if I say yes, I won't have longevity in that thing. I'll find a reason to walk away.
That's right.
But
That's
when
right.
it does align with my core values, I'm like a pit bull with a bone.
You're more motivated and committed,
Get
and
it?
you're
Yes.
there because
Yes.
it's important to you.
It's
And
important.
the other thing I just wanted to add is that your values, and it's okay, your values can shift and adjust and change in different phases of your life. I know what was important to me when I was in my 20s and a young thing kicking up my heels, particularly before I got married, okay, and had children. It was a whole lot different than when I turned 50 and had been married, had children, about to have grandchildren. Different. And then it was
Different.
steep in my career. And in my 20s, I know what I was doing. Okay.
We just trying to figure it out.
That's right. So when you think about that, my values were different, not right or wrong, but different.
Different.
And that's why I think it's so important to, every couple of years or on some kind of frequent basis, to actually stop and think about and reflect on, well, what's really important to me at this point in my life, in this stage in my life, and be real, really work to get that clarity.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, what I hear you saying is, it is necessary, it is important, it is imperative that we refine or redefine what our core values or success looks like as we mature and grow through the different stages of our life, professionally and personally.
Absolutely. And it's my step number one in developing your growth plan, developing your action plan. That's the first step, to know your core values.
Oh, see, let me go on, because we're gonna run out of time. You see this smile? Because listen, this is good to me. Listen,
Good.
this is good to me, guys. Listen, those of you that have been joining us across Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Twitch, and our all of these social media streets. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for those that are staying in the room. We want to hear from you. We've had some pretty good comments and engagement that have come into the chat. Please, let's get into this chat and let us know what you're thinking, what's on your mind. Do you have a personal growth plan? If you don't, do you want help creating a personal growth or personal action plan, excuse me, for 2023? Get in the comments, let us know who you are, where you're from. We want to hear from you and we love for you to add value to this conversation. So feel free to get in the comments and let us know what you're thinking. And if you're saying, Dr. Geneva, Laquita, I've got a personal action plan for 2023. I think I had an amazing sister out of the Austin area, Dr. P, and she made a comment earlier, and I hadn't even thought about that. We're talking about a personal action plan for 2023. Sis not only has a personal action plan for 2023, but she also has an action plan for 2023 for her business as well as herself. And we'll get to what that, how those two, how having that personal action plan for yourself causes you to be more successful in creating the action plan for your business. And hopefully we can get to that today. So look, guys, keep liking and sharing this conversation. If you have some questions, get in the comments and let us know what they are. If you want to share some of your thoughts, we want to know that as well. So, Dr. Geneva, can you tell us, what are your 6 steps that you would take to begin to create your personal action plan?
Well, the first step it was perfect to have that conversation about step number 1, know your core values, because, what's important, because it's about you. Okay. And so what's personal to you, what's important to you, it's about you. So spending the time to do that. And I've got a workbook too that's coming out. I'm trying to get it out in the next couple of weeks, Laquita. And so I know we'll be having many conversations. So I'll keep you updated, because I've had so many people say to me, well, Dr. G, you talk about this, you teach about it, we know your steps, etc. It would be great if we actually had something we can work it through. And so I said, yes. So I'm going to put together a workbook where I actually show you how you can narrow down your values, because that is a process. So I can take you through that step by step, how you work that out. But that's the first one. Know your core values. The second step is to look at all parts of your life. And frankly, Laquita, this gets into we've got a personal plan and then our business. Well, the thing is, you are you are you. Your business is you, your personal plan is you, your career is you, your finances are you, your family is you. Everything is, it really is about you and different aspects of your life. Okay. So, you think about you as a mom and a wife and your career and all of that. What are those things? What are those aspects of your life? And most of us have career, and money is an aspect of our life. Spiritual isn't part of us. Our personal growth and development, our health, all of those things are aspects of your life. So the second step is to decide what aspect of your life you want to develop your plan for. And the clients I work with, some of them say, well, I'm going to work with all aspects. That's fine. Some say, well, I'm most interested in growing myself spiritually now. I think that my other aspects, they're okay. But right now and for 2023, I want to concentrate on my spiritual life, because in what I know is now important to me, because I know my values. Yeah. Okay. See how it goes back to that step 1, my spirituality and the love of God and who I believe in, Allah, that belief in a higher being, and having more of that in my life is very important to me. So my growth plan for 2023, I wanted to focus on the aspect of my life that is spiritual. So you see, Laquita, how important it is to to not separate ourselves from the various roles and aspects of our life we play, because what
Mm.
we want to do is we want to bring our authentic self
Yes.
into each
Yes.
one of them. Okay.
Yes.
So, not to see them as disjointed in different pieces, but what are the parts of you that you want to develop this from? So that's the second one. Then the third step is my favorite, which is where you imagine, where you
Mm.
dream, where you imagine your future, where you recreate, what is it that I want? What do I see for myself? What is it I want to be? Who is it I want to, and you ask yourself questions like, what gives me purpose in life? What
Mm.
brings me joy? My favorite one, if I had a magic wand and I could wave it, what would I be?
Mm.
Or if I knew I could not fail, what would I do?
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So this is the step where you imagine yourself in the future, and no limits, where you actually, in your mind, create or recreate you. So you get this mental picture of what you want to be. So that's that's my favorite step, and that's the third
Have
step.
you found that some clients may have difficulty imagining
Mhm.
uh, what would keep a person, what would give a person that difficult imagining that there's nothing impossible, that they
Right.
are
Yeah.
capable of anything they want to do.
Yeah, it's tough for any of us to just say, "Oh, I can do that," because the first thing we get to is how. How
Mm.
can I do that? And no, I can't. And all those limiting beliefs start coming up. But it's as I work with my clients, the first thing I tell them to do is you got to spend some quality, quiet time in doing
Mm.
this exercise, doing this part of the process, where you
Yes.
go away, there's no distractions, and you're, all focused on you. And then what I do is I give people a series of questions. And that's kind of how I, find that people can kind of get in the groove, turn on their music, light, soothing music, get in the groove, and ask yourself a question like the magic wand question, or if I knew that I could not fail with what I was going to do, what would I do?
Mm.
And then you just, try to get it in imagine and tell people, find a safe place.
Mm.
um and yes, I think Paula is talking about journaling. That's
Yes.
another way that's beautiful, because it's safe. If it's just you and your journal, it's
Mm.
safe.
Yes.
And just to dream, and just to write, and just to think. And so those are some of the ways. And then sometimes, Laquita, you have to come back to it.
Yeah.
So sometimes you'll take a piece of it and it might be just too overwhelming, and you walk away from it. Maybe have a cup of tea, maybe wait till the next day or two, but always come back to it, and then ask yourself the question again. But believe me, between those hours of time where you take a break,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be percolating in your mind. You're going to be thinking about it. You're going to be, could I? And the other thing that I say to folk when you get to this point of the process, do not deal with how.
Mm.
This is a
That's good.
brainstorm. Don't try to figure out, well, how am I going to be the best author in the world? How am I going to run a multi-million-dollar business? Because these are the things I dream about: being a well-known author and running a successful business. I dream about that. Stop at the dream. Okay? Stop at the dream. Don't get into the how. Don't get into the how. This is not the point to do that. And once you go through some of these things like that and not deal with how, Laquita, we can find out, because it's all inside of us. It
Mm.
really is. And
Yes.
then the fourth step is that once you've kind of gotten all of that wonderfulness, you make sure you're writing it down. So this is like a combination of, the dream it, write it down. And some people would just like to sit and dream and just then write it down. Some people want to dream while they're writing, or rather write while they're dreaming. However you do it, whatever you end up with, you need to write it down, your vision statements. And these statements need to be positive, so I am the world's famous author. I am a multi-million-dollar business owner. So they need to be said in the positive, and I am. And that we have such spiritualness that comes from I am, and saying that and declaring it. So this is the writing down. So folk always get into, well, let's journal and that, and we good, but how you journal and what you write down is important. So it's got to be positive. It's got to be in the present tense, and you've already accomplished it. Okay, so that's how we're writing down these vision statements. And then the next step is to display it. And that's like display it, document it. And this is often, Laquita, where vision boards come into play. And I tell my folk and I'm a vision board freak. I love vision boards. But what I learned was, if I jump into a vision board without these previous steps, then I'm just having a good time with my vision board. But if I've given thought to my values, to the aspects of my life that I want to improve, to how I really imagine myself and recreate my purpose, and how I write down and think about and document these positive action steps and positive sayings about what I want to do. And then I do my vision board, because my vision board, really what it is, it's not a cute thing. I mean, it can look good. Okay. But the purpose of it is that you have something visual that you can always look at. And here's a secret. And that shows you your commitment and your accountability. So vision parties and vision board parties, they be fun. And I love them. But you want to use your vision board. So when you display it, it ain't just a pretty thing up there. That's your commitment. That's your accountability. So I'm looking at it and I'm, okay, that's what I said I was going to do. Right. Okay, let me go do it. Or that's what I committed to. Okay, let me get it on. So use the vision board, not to just have that one day with your friends and sipping wine and having a good time. It's good. Put it up there, though. It's got to be your symbol of commitment and accountability. And then the final step is to celebrate. And this is a step that oftentimes in these processes we get involved with, we don't take enough time to celebrate and congratulate ourselves and to pat ourselves on the back and to say, you did this, and to reflect the process and what made this good and to think about it. So those are my 6 steps. And that's what I help women, with, and in particular, but I do, I work with men and women. And Laquita, again, what's interesting is that so many of these steps is what we do in the business side.
It is.
Figuring out your vision and your outcomes, strategic plan. If you run a business, you got to have a strategic plan. Some kind of plan, a growth plan, a business plan, whatever you want to call it. There's similar principles, tactics, etc.
And there's a lot I want to say, and we have a little time, but this has been so amazing, because from every step is so vitally important. But that imagine step, where we have to visualize and see it, and even to our final step, then know what, you've created the vision, you have the board. Now let's put some legs to this thing and make it work. I think a lot of people get stuck somewhere in between those steps. But the way that you laid this thing out today, Laquita's Toolbox audience, I hope y'all have a lot of, as they say, copious notes. If you don't, get the replay, rewind it, pretend like, this is a lecture and you got to take good notes because you got an exam coming up. That's what you do.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what you do. Or like me, when I hear a good message, I get that recording and I can listen through it, hit the pause, write the note, hit play. Listen some more, hit the pause, write some notes, and hit play. Why is it so important? Because Dr. Geneva just said it. When we have a plan, we understand in our businesses, even on our jobs, even if you're not an entrepreneur and you are working, whatever level you are in your organization, from entry level to the C-suite, everybody has a plan for their area of the business.
That's right.
And every employee, every supervisor, every executive understands what that plan is and their mission to execute on that part of the plan. If we understand that from a business perspective, then we have to understand that from our personal perspective. It's necessary in order for us to reach our and our destinations. Paula said this has been some awesome information.
And thank you, Paula.
And Miss Adina made it really, I was thinking that same thing when she said it. She loved, everything that you shared. And she said, how is it challenging, or how challenging is it when you're analytical to be in that imagine phase,
Yeah.
And it's going to challenge some of us.
Right. Well, my analytical sisters, I be loving y'all. I'm telling you, because I mean, when I have the analyst, I surround myself with those type of folk because, they really help in the dissecting. They tend to love data. They tend to love the facts and the figures. And I know that I very much appreciate that. And I'm telling you something else, that's why I put out there for my analytical sisters who I love. And it's going to be, I know it's hard, but what you want to do is important. So, we're not looking for, I ain't here to tell you it's easy, because it ain't. It's not. But the question is it worth it?
Oh,
Is it worth having developing a strategy for your life? Is it worth imagining what you could be? Because see, you weren't born to fit in. You were born to stand out.
Come on now.
And so if that's worth it,
yes,
then I ain't bringing you easy. So I'm not here for that. It is tough. It is difficult, but you can do it. And my analytical sisters, as you say, the how, because it's difficult for you not to get into the how, just ask yourself this how question. How would my life be different if I had a game plan that mattered? So ask yourself that. And so I see, Madeline, I know. And that's what I'm saying. So, your different space, when you're fine, you don't want to stop being analytical because that's who you are.
Yes.
That's okay. That's all right. But you want to take those strengths of being able to look at a situation, dissect it, kind of figure it out. You want to take that strength and think about your future self. Think about, some of those life design questions. So Google life design questions. That's what I want you to do. And look at some of those questions and ask yourself some of those questions. But beautiful. You can do it. You really can. But again, I ain't promising you easy.
I think it's a song, right?
It ain't easy. That's right. That's a song,
ain't it? Of the song. And it's a woman. I want to say it's a Betty Wright song.
Yeah.
In my head, I feel like I'm in my mama's house when I was a kid.
Right.
Anything
and
look,
yes, It's right.
Yeah.
And I know that lesson came to me, really. That's right. Give yourself permission. That's what
Mhm.
I know I had to do. Give myself permission to see a new life, to see, because it was a choice of, either passing out of here or, living a new life. I mean, really. And I wanted the new life. I wanted to live a vibrant life. And that's why I created my latest ebook on unleashing the fabulous you. And that for us to take advantage of all of our gifts. And sometimes things like imposter syndrome be getting in our way, and we have we feel that we doubt ourselves, but you deserve success. And I had to say to myself, find a way. After a long successful career, I lost my voice, I lost everything, I doubted myself, I didn't have no confidence, nothing. And so I had to find the ways to come back to, not only am I good enough, but I'm more than enough. I had to come,
Yeah.
you have to come back to that. You got to struggle to that. You got to fight to that. But you can get there. And so in my book, I outline some of the key strategies that you can use to unleash your fabulousness.
Man, listen, guys, get in the comment section. I have dropped the links, and let me see if I can go back through. I know Dr. Geneva was talking and I was listening. I was dropping links and I wasn't making announcements. So I'm going to go back through and show you guys these links. But get in the comment section because you want to connect with Dr. Geneva and the great work that she's doing, her YouTube channel. If you guys like what you heard today, let me tell y'all, I have been perusing through her YouTube and being stuck in it for more than a little while. So if you like what you heard today, two things: subscribe to her YouTube channel and stay tuned. Hit those notification bells on your platform of choice: YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Twitch. Why is that? Because Dr. Geneva's coming back to the Laquita's Toolbox community for part
Yes.
two. So more
Yes.
questions coming. We're gonna be live on Instagram, y'all. We're gonna be live on
Ooh,
Instagram.
ooh,
So
IG.
go ahead.
Okay.
Come on now. Go ahead and get that locked in.
I got millennial children, so they teach me all. This has been a learning curve for me. I told you, I told y'all that I started my business in my late 60s. I don't know if I mentioned that I celebrated my 5-year anniversary this year. So you can add the
Yes.
numbers. You can see where I am in that chronological age wise. But I'm out here having fun and learning it all.
Look, she real millennial. Dr. Geneva is viral on TikTok, y'all. If you came in late and didn't hear the beginning of the conversation, go to TikTok and look at Dr. Geneva's Speaks.
Join me on TikTok. I just
Join her.
reached
I'm telling you,
10,000 followers, so I'm having a good time.
a real good time. I'm just struggling on TikTok.
You have, and people, like I had said, the people were saying, "Why are you on TikTok?" Ask with your old self. Why you? I said, "Hey, I'm having a vibe. I'm living vibrantly because I want
Yes.
to, and because it's a great platform to say to lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of women that you can be anything that you want to be. You got to work at it. You got to have a game plan.
Yes.
But you can find and reach higher levels of confidence. And so,
Yes.
come on, let's do it. And all them dreams that you got, come on, we can do it. I can help show you how to do it because, I'm long lived. And so I got this wisdom, and I'm just here trying to share it and spread it and do all that kind of stuff. So, all
And
right.
Dina said, speak on it. And she enjoyed your interview. Yes. Listen, y'all get to the YouTube
Oh,
channel.
oh,
She,
thank you. Oh, we had a ball, and Laquita was with us, and you know, Dr. Dennis Kimbrough is, you know, just one of them masters, and just
Yes.
having the conversation. But I think it was real talk conversation. That's why I
Real
just
talk.
love
Yeah.
having that kind of dialogue with him. But again, you know, talking about footsteps to wealth and success,
Mm.
you know, mentoring, supporting, and encouraging others, you know, and a lot of that starts with us,
Yes,
you know,
it
what you
does.
do for yourself.
Yes, it
And
does.
so how you then can pour into others. So
Yes.
thank you.
Dr. Janice, thank you so much for joining for my LinkedIn community. I just really appreciate everybody in the Laquita's Toolbox community. You guys are showing up as normal. You're showing up and showing out, and I appreciate that love and support. Thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Janice. I appreciate you. And then our YouTube community is joining in as well. True Legacy Coaching. Thank you so much for coming into the room. Facebook community. Thank you so much to Paula and all of you guys that have been joining us, and Dr. Sakisa Hylett, all of you guys that have been joining us across the various platforms. We appreciate you. And True Legacy said this has been a true gem. My interests
Good.
were especially peaked on the topic of values and identity. Yes, and they do incorporate establishing core values. We have to. We
Mhm.
have to establish those. Look, guys, I know the time we have exceeded my normal time, but this has been real talking great information. I don't want to stop, but you know, we're going to put a plug in it. You know why we're going to put a plug in it? We're going to put a plug in it so you can jump on over to Instagram. Y'all go ahead and mark your calendars, because coming up on Thursday, November the 17th, at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Dr. Geneva will be joining me live on Instagram for another amazing episode of Laquita's Toolbox live via Instagram. So you don't want to miss it. You might be saying, well, Laquita, I ain't on Instagram. Go and create you an account right now.
That's right. Like
Create an
that.
account right now just for this
Mhm.
purpose, because you don't want to miss that conversation.
And as soon as you do, create that account, follow me and Laquita.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. So you can get and set those notifications
That's right.
so
Set
you
those.
can get the yes, so you can get the continuation of part two, because we just barely scratched the surface today on the importance of creating a personal action plan and the steps that we can take. So you don't want to miss part two. We're going to dive deeper, and we're going to peel back some more layers to that onion, and you do not want to miss that. And of course, come to the comment section so you can get the links to subscribe to Dr. Geneva's YouTube, get the links to also her website, to where you can find out more about who she is and her products and her speaking engagements and her ebook. You want to get out to, that's the wrong link, Laquita. Get on up here to the right link. There we go. There we go. We want to get out there and get to her ebook and the new ebook that's coming out, and get those in your on your bookshelf, whether it's your virtual bookshelf or whether it's your literal bookshelf. Get those books. They will definitely bless your life. We have to invest in ourselves. Amen. So, and don't forget, she made a powerful statement. Google these questions. Google the question, um, life design questions. The Google the statement life design questions,
Right.
and begin to answer some of those questions. And by
Mhm.
the time we get to the 17th, y'all should have some powerful questions, or be able to share some powerful experiences that you had as a result of tuning in today and looking at those life design questions. So, listen, guys, thank you so much. Dr. Geneva,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you. Thank
you.
you.
Oh, I had a ball. Thank you.
I'm so
I
glad you
appreciate you
enjoyed
so
yourself
much.
today. Thank you so much. It has definitely been my pleasure.
Thank you.
Before we wrap up, is there, anything that you'd like to leave with the Liquidity Toolbox audience today?
Well, just that, I've had a great time. I appreciate the comments, the questions, the feedback. It's wonderful. I look forward to seeing you in IG in a week or so. And, I'm going to sit back. You see how the sun is coming in? And
Yes,
I'm,
ma'am.
I'm doing this because I want you to know here in Detroit, it's usually like in the 30s. about this time here in November, but we in the 60s and look at sun out here. And, that's because one of the reasons because, I'm here with Laquita and we doing this thing. We bringing all this sunshine to the world. And so being with you, my sister, has been a real pleasure. And I look forward to part 2.
Oh, bless. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Listen, guys, this has been an amazing episode of Laquita's Toolbox Live. You guys be blessed and enjoy. I want you to do this. Enjoy the very rest of your day, y'all. Take care. God bless. Everything hinges on identity. It is the compass of our faith that aligns with the Holy Spirit to fulfill the Father's will. Wrapped up in identity is who we are, the purpose of our being, and every God-breathed promise that manifests as our success. Hello, I'm Laquita Monley, and I'm the author of Redefining Success, 8 Tools That I Use to Develop a Growth Mindset. In this amazing book, not only will I share with you 8 tools that I use for a growth mindset, but I'll also share the applicable principles based on God's word that you can easily implement in your life journey. So no matter where you are and no matter where you see yourself in the future, this book will be a tool that you need for your toolbox. Don't wait, get it today, and it can be found on Amazon by simply searching Redefining Success, 8 Tools That I Use for a Growth Mindset. Take care.